following announcement has been paid for by the
Welcome to the Elite Mark Order podcast, where we talk about all things AEW related, and tonight we review Dynamite and talk other AEW stuff. I've got a PhD in THC. I'm the Doctor of Pot, Cosmic Scott, and tonight I'm joined by my partner and co-host who was born today, and I hope who will never go away, JayV, the birthday boy.
Wow, that even rhymes and everything.
I worked really hard at that.
Impressive intro. Well, given you only had like a couple minutes to prepare, I'm definitely impressed.
Well, you know, what can I say? I just have a way with words. I'd say that I'm a wordsmith, but that sounds really fucking arrogant. So,
yeah.
Rhyming is easy when you're high as fuck, by the way.
Hello, everybody in podcast land. Yes, it is my birthday. I am drinking some Blanton's bourbon, which is incredible to celebrate the birthday. And my wife bought me a cocktail wood smoking kit that I use to smoke the cocktail before I drink it. You know, all this talk of smoking cock and wood on my birthday. I don't know what to think of that, but
I gotta tell you, we need to transition into something else.
Yeah, the current glass of Blanton's was smoked with cherry wood, and it is phenomenal. It's just outstanding.
Go.
So yeah, just please bear with me during the show tonight. I'm not, drinking lots of Blanton's during the show. So, and it's normally not my birthday. So, but we'll get through this. We'll make it through it.
We're going to make an exception because 1, it's your birthday. Go shorty. It's your birthday. Number 2, let's face it. All you're doing is trying to catch up to me. I've been smoking all fucking day. Because that's how I live my life, man. I'm the Doctor of Pot, Cosmic Scott.
That's right.
And 3, all the talk of smoke. God damn, I want to go. No. I do have to say that I'm not a bourbon guy, but it does sound pretty fucking amazing. And here's a glass to you in your honor for your birthday. And hey, if you haven't already, by the way, just if you haven't, maybe you have already, JayV. But if you haven't, give us a subscribe, hit that little bell thing, press the like button, leave a comment. We want to hear what you have to say about these shows because it's not always about us. It should be. Let's face it, we are awesome. But we still want to hear about your guys, your opinion, all of that crap. It helps with the algorithm, so we appreciate that. And we're on the drive to 1,000, so please give us some help. JayV, I'm going to ask you cautiously, what'd you think of the show?
So it was our build to Grand Slam. In the past, we've seen some huge main events at Grand Slam, most notably Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson from a couple years ago, which was one of the top-rated matches in AEW history. And the crowd, 20,000 strong, I believe. I think it might have been 18,000. Just an incredible ovation just for Kenny and Danielson being in the ring at the same time, staring each other down before they even locked up. Standing ovation there. It was a great moment for AEW. Unfortunately, due to the injuries to both Kenny and Danielson, we have not had a rematch, but hopefully soon. Hopefully in the next year we'll get that because both of their careers seem to be winding down for one reason or another. So, yeah, hopefully we can get that Kenny Danielson match. So, yeah, this build, was all about the build for Samoa Joe versus MJF. And we thought there was a chance that Roddy Strong might end up fighting MJF at this just because of the storyline between Cole and MJF and Strong has been going on for months. But, that was the main event. And I'm not sure when we're going to talk about that, Scott, but I will not say anything else about it until we get to that spot on the agenda. So.
Well, let me tell you the entire thing about Roddy Strong and Joe. We'll touch on it. I do want to talk about it at the end of the show. We'll just kind of go through the card and all that. It's not only built for months, but it was. There's something going on right now with Roddy, with Adam, with MJF. You add in the absolute magnificence of Joe, and there's just this chemistry is the right word Joe has worked with Roddy Strong across multiple promotions now, TNA, in NXT, and now here in AEW. They know what they're doing. They're telling a great story. Adam is obviously super close with Roderick and now MJF. There's so many different, the Kingdom, all of that history that I didn't know coming in, but they've told me about it now. So I'm able to go, oh, okay, cool. Now I know why they know each other. So it's not left in the dark for everybody. This has been a really great story, and I'm glad to see where it's going. Now, some of the rest of the card may be lacking, but I think this title picture is certainly interesting enough to get me to watch next week. That's for sure. And that's its job, is to get Grand Slam some ratings, because tonight on SmackDown, WWE pulled out the big guns, opened their checkbook, and out comes The Rock. So AEW.
Oh shit! The Rock was on tonight.
Yes.
Oh, do tell. What happened?
I don't know. I don't watch SmackDown,
okay.
But I did hear he was on the show.
Oh my god! And I'm surprised I didn't get texted about that. That's crazy. That's fucking
big
crazy.
News. It is big news.
Certainly, I'm excited.
He may not wrestle for the entire time. Who knows?
Well, with the writer's strike, he's got nothing else to do. So
the writers and actors strike. Exactly my point. Yep. He literally has nothing else to do. He's pledged himself to WWE many times in the past, and they called. He showed up. It doesn't surprise me that they want big ratings, and he will draw. You just proved it. You're like, I'm going to go watch it.
I'll watch. Absolutely. I'll fucking watch. Yeah.
I will watch his segments.
I don't think it's WWE didn't call The Rock. The Rock called WWE and said, "Hey guys, what's going on? I got some time for you." So
guaranteed,
it's certainly an open door policy.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Dwayne called up Vince and said, "Hey Vince, you got an opening for me?" Yeah, no question. Give me 5 minutes. 5? I'll give you the whole damn show.
Give you whatever you fucking want.
Yeah, he'll bend over for him. Absolutely. It's not the relevant point. He will absolutely draw viewers. So, of course, they want him. And it's just coincidental that it happens to be right after the Endeavor takeover. You know Dwayne's got a good relationship with Dana, and especially Ari. Because Ari was the guy he was basically being for Ballers. So, this all goes full circle.
All right,
all goes full circle.
I never watched Ballers, but I get that. Yeah.
I'm just really good at picking up information. I don't know where I know shit, but I know
incredible.
Shit.
Never seen anything like it. Yeah,
I've got a mind like a sieve, and yet I retain stuff like it's, water.
Right.
I'm not sure what that means, but I do know that the pot is working.
Excellent.
But the fact is, this show kind of had a weird pacing to it in ways, but I thought overall that it was enjoyable. Now, it started off as it should with the International Championship. And this time, it was Jon Moxley versus Big Bill. Now, nobody really expected Jon to lose, but in the ring, it was an enjoyable match. And I think that they're doing okay with that. Moxley was very clearly the face. This was his hometown, Cincinnati, Ohio. He was the face. Bill was a heel, always a heel. And I think it's very strange, but BCC has the ability to be faces and heels without necessarily being that tweener. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
like hey Krill, what's going on, man? Feel free to join us on stage if you want.
All right, hello there. It is
Danhausen.
Nice and very even. It has been a long time since I've been on a Elite Man Recordings podcast, and unfortunately, I come bearing sad news for our viewers.
No.
Kittyhausen has, as of Wednesday, passed away.
No, not Kittyhausen.
Yes,
that's a bummer.
Danhausen and his family have been grieving pretty hard. It has been the second loss of a kitty cat for us this year, and now Kittyhausen is gone. This is
Very sad.
quite a bummer.
R.I.P. Kittyhausen. Kittyhausen was a cornerstone of this podcast and will be missed.
An original member of the Elite Mark Order. And I will say that Hellcat, my HR representative, did inform me earlier today that she's taking a couple of days bereavement to go, shit on his grave. And I don't want to, it's not disrespectful. I don't want it to feel disrespectful because she's taken a really, really long distance to do this, but she is Demon Cat and I kind of hate her.
Well, anyway, Kittyhausen is gone, and I don't know how much longer Danhausen will do this anymore. Danhausen's whole bit on here was everything with Kittyhausen, and now Kittyhausen's gone, so Danhausen's been kind of questioning whether or not he should continue doing appearances for the Elite Mark Order. But
yes, the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
If I continue, you shall never know when I will be here.
That's true.
You'll never know when I'll show up. And just know this as well, Kittyhausen left behind 2 kids, including a Kittyhausen Jr.
Oh, all right.
But
fantastic.
We look forward to
Kittyhausen Jr. will appear on here because she is doing her own thing. Anyway, it was nice being in here at Elite Mark Order podcast. Jay and Scott of Cosmic and VFJ. It's nice to see you again. Anyway, I will cast you.
Oh, well,
Danhausen, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Danhausen, for your appearance, and I apologize for my cat. She's really quite rude, but I do have to say we all send our hearts out to the Danhausen family because Kittyhausen was definitely a very beloved member.
Yes, I see Sentinel has joined us as well in the audience. Hello, Sentinel. Feel free to join us on stage if you want, or feel free to stay in the peanut gallery and throw
ask questions. Yeah, feel free to ask questions. Your input is always valuable, as all the members and everybody in chat, as well as everybody in the comments. And as far as the Big Bill John Moxley match, which I didn't get the chance to ask Danhausen his opinion on it, I would have loved to hear that. Of course, Moxley won, but he had to actually work for it a little bit because Bill effectively sold just how big he was, and Starks only enhances it. So I kind of like this matchup with Starks acting as the manager for a little bit for Big Bill. Maybe this is the combination where Bill finally gets over in AEW officially, as much as he was over in NXT. What's your opinion on the match and their meshing?
There was a lot of blood. There was a lot of good action. I thought the match was decent. I think Moxley has, it's almost hard to say it, but I think Moxley has a lot to live up to following Cassidy's reign. See, the thing is with Orange, you could go into an Orange match and you weren't sure that Orange was going to win.
Yeah.
With Moxley, here you have a guy that's lost like 3 matches total, once clean, only to CM Punk. His other 2 losses were due to shenanigans, and we're supposed to expect him to lose to guys who are mid-carders. It's like, I don't know. I just don't know how it's going to work. I don't think Moxley needed that title. I don't think Moxley's going to elevate the title, and I don't know. It's just who's going to end up beating him. He's just booked himself as an unbeatable guy, and I don't know. It's just not the same.
Here's the thing. It absolutely is not, because Orange Cassidy was an undersized guy comparatively to the giants of WWE and the measuring stick that we've all had for the last 20 years, yada, yada, yada. We know some of the smaller guys go, and they're phenomenal, and Orange proves it. And he's not necessarily small, but by the same token, he is a smaller-looking guy. And so it's more believable that someone can come along and beat him up no matter their size. But the bigger a person gets, and again, it's our training that the bigger guy always wins. And a lot of it, in my background, is that if the skill is equal, 9 times out of 10, the big guy will win. So it's a matter of skill at that point. In this case, John Moxley's just a bigger guy against most of his opponents. It reminds me actually of Booker T in his title reign back in WCW. My buddy and I were watching it, and he always fought cruiserweights. We're like, dude, Booker T, you're bigger than these guys. It's like a big bully. Why are you always fighting cruiserweights? We didn't get it back then. But now I realize cruiserweights were the only ones who could keep up with Booker T. None of the heavyweights, especially WCW in the 90s, none of them could keep up with the style and the speed of Booker T. It took the smaller guys, Ray, Eddie, it took Chris Benoit. Yeah, I said his name. It took all the smaller, Psychosis, Chavo, all the smaller guys were matching up with Booker T because he was so fast. And John Moxley can match up with anybody, but he's going to beat them. That's the persona that he's created now. And so it's not as believable. It's that believability that someone can win that makes a match interesting. And so
I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. That it's the believability that someone could lose. There was a lot of times when we went into those Cassidy matches, like he's got to lose. He's beat up, his hands taped up, his back's taped up, his neck's taped up. Like tonight's the night he's going to lose. It's like, are we going to get to a point like that with Moxley? No, because Moxley never loses, and it doesn't. To me, it has nothing to do with size. It has to do with your track record. Mox doesn't lose. Mox doesn't lose clean. He's been in AEW for 4 years, and like I said, he's lost one match clean. Cassidy has a whole slew of losses to his name, so you just did not know. So I think that's a detriment to this title, that they put it on a guy who never fucking loses. He won't lose. He wouldn't even lose clean to Kenny Omega. So it's like, why the fuck am I going to believe that this John Moxley, who's been overexposed, who fights every week, who busts his head open and blades himself after, I don't know, looking at someone the wrong way, and then ends up just choking his opponent out and either went in with his his DDT or, choking the guy out. I don't know. It's just, I just feel like the reign for this title is going downhill a bit. And I think we're going to miss the OC days. And I don't know where they're going to go with Moxley, because who's going to beat him?
Well, that's the thing. The idea is when he gets beat, that whoever beats him is going to get the rub. That's the entire idea behind having such a dominant champion. The problem, as we've seen it, is that the people who are believable at beating Moxley are very few and far between, because he's positioned himself and is positioned such that he's basically the ace. And so if he comes out every week and has competitive matches, that's different. But AEW falls into a habit. Jade was definitely a problem, where it's just squash matches over and over. Now, Big Bill was competitive. I'm okay with that. Phoenix is next. Ray Phoenix, maybe it was a good match. I don't know. It's on Rampage, right? Or is
it's on Grand Slam.
Is it Grand Slam? Good.
I'm pretty sure Grand Slam.
It should be a good match with Ray.
Oh, Phoenix. It should be a great
Absolutely.
match. But the problem is,
Mox is going to win.
Anytime there's a false finish, if Phoenix hits his finisher, he hits his Black Meteor driver, or whatever it's called. Like, Mox is going to kick out. So it's just like, it's not gonna get me off my feet saying, oh my god, I can't believe this match is amazing. I'm just gonna be like, of course Mox is fucking kicking out, because he ain't gonna lose to Phoenix. It's like there's just no interest in the match to me, because you already know Mox is gonna win 100%. So whip-de-doo. So Phoenix is gonna come out, wrestle a great match, and then lose. And then next week he'll fucking do the same thing again, and it's just, you just look at Phoenix's record, and it's just loss against bigger guys, guys that TK's pushing, and I say, hey, I guess props to Phoenix for at least being on TV as an enhancement talent, like, as opposed to the Elite, who just aren't on TV anymore. So I guess good for them for retaining a spot in the post-Punk, post-Elite AEW.
We definitely can talk about that, but I wanted to mention just a little bit that that the Lucha Brothers are definitely still on TV a fair amount, even if they're losing a little bit. And Moxley, yeah, he's got this persona, but if it's Blackpool Combat Club, Una takes the loss. We know this. Hopefully, and I'm definitely going to talk about this later, hopefully Eddie's day is coming up. Eddie Kingston is I'm rooting for him. He's got his day coming up. It's gonna we'll talk about that in a minute, but that's gonna be good. The fact is, when Mox eventually loses, it will hopefully give the rub to somebody, but it's not it's hard to say it's gonna be Ray because they don't ever push the Lucha Brothers singles. And as far as the Elite not being on TV, they barely signed their extension. They just want to retire. They're rich. The entire promo that Swerve said against Hangman last week could entirely apply to the Bucks. They're not complacent because they do still work their ass off when they're in the ring. I don't think they're choosing to be on TV. They just signed an extension. I bet they're just choosing not to wrestle. Maybe they're waiting for other teams to be built up so that they can come out. I don't know.
I disagree with that 100%.
I'm not saying that they agree with it. I'm saying that's what I'm seeing.
Well, you're saying that the Bucks agree. The Bucks don't want to be on TV. I disagree with that 100%. Like, I don't. That's not good for their business at all. And even though the rumors, which I don't know if I believe, is that Matt wanted to retire, I don't think the Bucks are walking into Dynamite, and saying, "Yeah, I don't want to be on TV tonight." When they've made comments on their show, oh, we get to be on TV again. They make snarky comments. They're not allowed to talk.
They work everything. They work everything.
No, but there's truth to some of those comments that they make.
Absolutely.
I guess we're going to be on TV again. It's amazing. Oh, I guess we're just garbage wrestlers now because the only thing we're booked in is no DQ matches. Remember, we used to wrestle normal matches against normal wrestlers. There's truth to all those statements and how Tony Khan is using them. And frankly, Tony Khan has been using them like shit for fucking 2 years. And I'm surprised they re-signed, but the money was right and the time with their family was right. It was the lowest risk move for them. But I don't think we're going to be seeing much of the Bucks or Kenny over the next 3 years. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they're in a cool down period right now, and maybe they'll be main eventing the show every week in 6 months. And Kenny will get another run on top, and he'll have epic matches against Danielson and Moxley again. But I don't know. Right now that remains to be seen. So yeah, just kind of watching and waiting at this point.
Okay. Well, I mean, the fact is there's a lot of opportunity to see where it goes, and hopefully everybody gets used a little bit more and they're happy with what they're doing. But not everybody is being used. That's for sure. So I just want to get your opinion on that. So I'm obviously a mark for the Elite. It's basically the Elite are why I watch American wrestling. I would still follow New Japan. And probably more so if it wasn't for AEW, but the Elite are why I watch AEW. So with them being kind of put on the shelf, it's difficult to get invested in the product. So now I know that you tuned into AEW because of you're hearing about the Elite and how great they were, and you got to see them when AEW first started. Yeah. And that kind of drew you in and made you a huge fan. It's true.
What do you think about how they're being treated right now? Like, not being on TV, last minute storylines, last minute pay-per-view matches, no build on TV. They're getting nothing. I mean, their feud they did have visibility around their feud with BCC. I can't say that didn't pretend that didn't happen. But other than the BCC feud, they have not really been featured in any programs for basically 2 years. And my last thing that I'll say before I let you comment is, for 9 months of that, Kenny was out because he had surgery, and but other than that excuse, I mean, what's your thoughts on where the Elite are at AEW right now, and what's going to happen in the future? They got 3 or 4 years to go, one or the other, so they got a long time that they're penciled in for AEW.
So, first of all, a couple of times you mentioned like Kenny versus Danielson a couple years ago. The build to Grand Slam was simply amazing. 2 years ago, the product was so fire that that I was like, God damn, this is the best wrestling, company there is. 2021 was the year for AEW. 2022 was when the problems happened. And they've never really recovered from that. There's still the problem eventually got fired, but now there's cracks, and now, it's not the shiny, happy honeymoon phase is over, man. Now they need to put up or shut up. They've got 2 shows. They're going to be streaming on Max soon, potentially, been talking about it, and possibly doing 12 pay-per-view / PLE styles, which would just be like their Grand Slam and Fighter Fest and all that stuff, which they already have the big names for. It's probably not a big deal, but so are they ready to expand that fast?
Yeah, not to interrupt the question about the Elite, but for the PLEs, are those going to be like on pay-per-view still? They're not going to be part of the streaming deal that you subscribe to on Max, or
probably a combo?
Okay.
I mean, I haven't heard because nobody really knows the full details, but if I were Tony Khan, I would say pay-per-view would still be available, of course, worldwide, but I think it would still be available in the U.S. markets as well as, of course, streaming on Max. Now, maybe a premium for Max. I know for a while there was, you had to have the premium Peacock in order to watch the PLEs over on WWE. So maybe they'll do a similar structure. Warner Brothers is chasing that, keeping up with the Smiths, or whatever the fuck that phrase used to be. Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
But as far as the Elite goes, I do see it differently. I don't see them being mistreated because they do have such a high position in the company. If they're not on television, I have to believe it's because they're choosing not to be. We know Matt's banged up, has been banged up. Maybe he's going to get himself healthy. Maybe Nick is doing something similar. Maybe they're just taking a little time off, as you said, to cool a little bit. And when they come back, their pop should be big. Now, the other thing is the fact that their ratings, their quarter hours, don't typically do amazing. Don't put them in the finale. Don't put them in the actual main event because everybody knows they're going to win, right? But there's such a negative response that people have, whomever they are that are watching. At the end, if you put the Bucks at the end of the show, it always dips.
Yeah, it dips 100,000 viewers. So you go from 850 to 750 with the Bucks in the main event slot. But who are they against? Oh, they're against the fucking ass boys.
Because you know they're going to win. Nobody watches. That's my point.
Right.
And so it's difficult because now AEW isn't on fire. It doesn't have, I mean, it's still got momentum. They're still trying to, you got people like Cassidy who fucking nailed just that run with the belt was spectacular. You do have MJF at the top of the card who's able to get just great crowd responses and enthusiasm and sends people home happy and all that crap. So there are so many positives about AEW, but at the same time, you're like, okay, it can't just be great match, great match, great match. There's the connective tissue, and there's a lot of people who are huge AEW fans who are saying, what happened to the booking from 2021? What happened to the fucking amazing stories and action and all of that? Where did it go? I don't have an answer. I do know that if the Elite are unhappy, why did they resign? And if they're unhappy because they resigned and they only resigned because I don't know. Don't know any of that rationale. I do know Cody showed you can exit no matter your level in the company. And that's an important thing because that means any of them can leave if and when they choose to. However, I assume Tony also has them on an employee contract, much like he did with CM Punk, because they are EVPs. That means they do have increased office and behind the scenes responsibilities.
Allegedly.
It's going to happen.
Allegedly, they have behind the scenes responsibilities.
Dude, Tony Khan runs multiple companies. He's not going to just let people have multiple paychecks because they're doing nothing.
When Tony was asked what are the EVP responsibilities, he's like, I can't comment on that. So
that doesn't mean that they're doing nothing.
I don't know, man. Kenny says he's head of AEW games. You know, he said that in the Stadium Stampede
couple
release.
Times, yeah.
But like, Kenny doesn't give a fuck about a Fight Forever. He doesn't give a fuck about the game. He doesn't play it. He doesn't support it on Twitter. Like, he's busy holed up in his fucking. I don't even know if he's coming to Dynamite the last few weeks. Like, we got this shit going on with Takeshi's challenging Ibushi, and Ibushi can't be bothered to fly into a Dynamite show. Ibushi's in Japan or wherever the fuck he is. Like, I mean, Okada. He didn't fight on Dynamite, but he at least showed up on Dynamite, or at least had like a pre-recorded interview. Like, we get nothing. We get nothing with Ibushi, and so it's looking like we're gonna get Takeshita versus Ibushi at Wrestle Dream, but there's gonna be no fucking build for it on TV other than a fucking picture of Ibushi, committing seppuku or whatever the fuck that was supposed to be. That Kayla's busted out.
It was seppuku, that's for sure. It was just straight out murder. So, it was just Callus and Takeshita straight up murdering Ibushi with a sword. So it's just fucking stabbing him.
It's like
it was like the thing with Jericho, the beheading. It was just right before it. He was just gonna murder him.
But it's like for me, like, that's enough. Like, I mean, Takeshita versus Ibushi at Wrestle Dream, I'm in. You charge $100 for that pay-per-view, I'm gonna fucking throw it down just to watch that Ibushi versus fucking Takeshita live. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's a fucking dream match. But for the average fan who hasn't been watching New Japan or hasn't been watching DDT, they're like, who the fuck is this Ibushi guy? He's been on 2 pay-per-views, which the average fan may or may not have even seen. So it's like, why the fuck is the average fan going to care about Ibushi when he's not developed on TV? And it's just really frustrating that, you got fucking Chris Jericho out there for 2 segments blabbering on about nothing every week, and we can't get like a real segment for Ibushi. We can't get an interview with Ibushi and Kenny. Kenny's holed up playing Street Fighter 6. He's master level, and he's challenging guys on Twitter to Street Fighter 6. And it's like, dude, aren't you like supposed to be pushing this company that you're an EVP for? And didn't you're the head of AEW Games, and you're not even bothering to promote? I don't know. The whole thing is
hold on.
It's
in
just
Kenny's defense,
fucking mind-boggling, man.
Have you played Fight Forever?
Yeah.
In Kenny's defense, have you played that game?
Speaking of which, I'm going to call you out. And you we have to go.
Okay.
I bought Fight Forever on PC so I could play you, and we haven't done that yet. So
it's true.
One of these days.
Okay.
One of these days, we got to do it.
It's, you know what? I probably haven't played that game in a month, and it's only been out 2.
Same here. I've played it. I prepped. There was supposed to be a Fight Forever tournament at StarCast, which I went to. So I started practicing for it, and then I realized, wait a minute. All the tweets and all the social media about the tournament have been deleted, so this tournament isn't happening.
No, Fight Forever is. Oh my god!
Like, I still want to fight you. So we have to make that happen. So.
We'll make it happen. But I'll tell you, that game, man. Oh, this is the I am so disappointed in everything that has happened.
Like between between Fight Forever failing, the Elite not being on TV, Kenny not even bothering to promote his game, it's like all the excitement that we had going into AEW about the game, about the Elite being in main event, having great matches in the US against talent coming over from, big stars from WWE that jump ship. And it's like, we definitely got those matches. Like it's we got Kenny versus Mox, we got Kenny versus Danielson, but it's like right now the future looks, it just seems like I don't see any of those big marquee matches happening. Like I don't know what's going on with the Elite, and it seems like Fight Forever is being abandoned, just like Elite GM was, and there's like no published roadmap for the game for us to think there's any hope for it. And it's just like, man, it's like a lot of the excitement, a lot of the interest I had in this company is just not there anymore. It's just like a big void. It's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, they're pushing fucking Christian and Chris Jericho and John Moxley and Danielson, and it's like, if you weren't in WWE, then you don't have a spot in AEW anymore, because that's all this is a bunch of people that left WWE, and it's just like the whole mentality of the company seems to be shifting based on what happened with Punk, and I don't know, man. I don't know. The future.
So you're probably not happy about Edge potentially coming over to AEW.
Good Lord. If they brought in Edge and he was treated as a special attraction and had dream matches against Kenny and Danielson and Christian and fucking Moxley, and they did it like that, oh fuck, it'd be great. But what are they going to do? They're going to bring him in, he's going to be doing interviews, and he's going to be on commentary, and he'll dick around with like Nick Wayne or some other new person.
They'll team him up with somebody. No, Nick's already got the chain. It goes Nick, Darby, Sting. So he's already got that. No, they would hook Edge up to somebody else.
You got Edge and Christian fighting over Nick. I mean, it's just, I just want good wrestling, man.
Nick Wayne on a pole match.
There you go.
Nick Wayne in a shark cage.
Yeah, I mean, whoever pulls Nick Wayne off the tie up Nick Wayne in the corner, and whoever unties Nick Wayne.
Did you just say whoever pulls off Nick Wayne in the corner?
No, whoever unties Nick Wayne in the corner is the winner. Tie him up.
There you go. Yeah,
I mean, maybe have some fire like slowly rising to burn him alive.
There you go. Whoever saves Nick from the fire.
Whoever saves him from the fire gets to be his manager.
And then you know what? The story is they both just walk away and he just emoliates.
Oh, and just crucify him after the match either way. Just have a crucifixion scene for I mean, why not? And then like Gangrel can come out and you can have a new breed. A new brood. A new brood. Right.
No, wait. If you sacrifice Nick, you got to hang him up on a symbol. It can't be a cross, but it's a symbol. And then you have Tony Khan come out and say, "It was me, Nick, it was me all along."
But this is why we should be on the booking committee,
because
we just talked about. I mean, we would probably sell 10 million pay-per-views with Nick Wayne on his stick match. I mean, the crucifixion.
We deserve Impact. Shit. We don't. AEW does not deserve us. We need to be an Impact where they do the craziest shit, like bring Eric Young back from the dead.
Well, I'll tell you what. We could go over. We can work for Impact. We can get Punk will sign with us, and
we would book Punk amazing, and then he would get injured.
Yeah. Well, then TNT will call us and we'd be like, "Yeah, we're canceling AEW. Do you guys want us to carry you?" And we're like, "Sure, yeah, 7 figures for each of us. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it for a couple of years."
Fair enough. And then we just exit. We just sell it off and let Tony absorb the impact.
or we just turn it all over to Vince Russo. Let him him run with it.
Yes, Vince and Cornette, get them on the bookings team.
There you go. There you go.
You can put them in charge and let guys, you've been talking a big game. Well, guess what? We ran it for 5 years. It did great. Your turn.
And then we could change the name of.
Shut up.
We could change the name of our podcast to 12 Weeks, where we're talking about how we outdrew AEW for 12 weeks. Punk
before the 12 Weeks podcast. It's our only claim to fame at all, ever.
CM Punk versus The Draw, Sammy Callahan.
The Draw. He's got a good name there. He's the Draw. He's an artist. He's an artist. We call him the Draw.
Oh,
wait.
Sammy.
I have this perfect idea. So we find a really big guy. Maybe we poach Satnam Singh.
Puff.
And we get a Darth Vader helmet, right?
Stormtrooper.
No, Darth Vader.
Okay.
Hold on, Darth Vader.
Stormtrooper's been done. You're right. Okay.
Right. And we spray paint it. See, you cut me off. You thought I was going to say purple sparklies, but no. Darth Vader helmet. Green sparklies, and out comes the Slime Master.
And I think
he just wears a green outfit with like drippy sort of danglies that, like Macho Man danglies, but they look like slime instead.
Like that Boogie Monster guy that was in WWE. The fuck was his name?
Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman. Yeah.
I'm the Boogeyman.
But I think we could get Puff to do it. You know Puff, right? I don't know if you're familiar with Puff.
The Magic Dragon?
No. I know you're familiar with Puff the Magic Dragon, but Puff the wrestler. So Puff was a Buffalo boy that but was in the same promotion with Butcher Blade, Daniel Garcia. Puff was like a 400-pound bigger dude. Didn't have the best mobility, but Puff was like he was number 500 in the PWI 500 a couple times, and he has had appearances on BTE.
Okay,
so I was thinking we could give that mask to Puff. He probably lives like a couple miles from me. I could give him a call, and we could make that happen. Probably cost us a couple $100, and we're good to go.
$100 and maybe a few tacos. Dude looks like he could put down some tacos.
He certainly could.
We get him at a Chinese buffet, all you can eat, no problem.
I think Puff has actually been on AEW a few times, but it's neither here nor there.
He could be an Iron. We make him an Iron Savage.
There you go.
He's Puff Savage. So we were going to talk about the show, and Adam Cole was backstage, and he was talking about Samoa Joe hurting Roddy's neck, and strangely Roddy didn't respond well to that. It's amazing. Again, that's just building towards their story. I love everything that they're doing. Tony Schiavone talked to Callis and Takeshita, where they revealed that they were going to murder Kota Ibushi live at Wrestle Dream. I thought that was pretty amazing, and the cops should be there because it looks like they're going to stab him in the head with a sword.
Right. It could be dangerous.
It does seem like that would be a problem. Alex Marvez, Scoops, as they're starting to call him, was backstage with the BCC.
Scoops.
And yeah, they love calling him that. And you had a very, very, very bloody Moxley in the background as Danielson challenges Starks and Big Bill to a tag team match at Collision. And basically just Marvez reminds them about Grand Slam where Moxie and Phoenix and Claudio and Kingston, and they get to have their little pull apart. And let me finish. I'm finishing. The absolute best part was Eddie just staring daggers at Claudio, and he said 1 week and laughed his ass off and walked off. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, welcome, Scott. Welcome to the Peanut Gallery, and feel free to join us on stage if you want. We are kind of freestyling tonight, as it's my birthday, and I've had a few Blantons, and I'm tempted to go get another one. And Scott is the usual Scott, so feel free to join us on stage.
Scott, again, Lawyer Scott. We call you that because Bully hated that Eddie laugh. Bully can suck me. If you want to join us on stage, you're welcome to. You have been on stage with us before, so don't feel shy. We're really not covering the show very well, but we are having a good time, so fuck it.
And that's the important thing.
It really is. Because realistically, the next segment was with Hook and Orange Cassidy. First of all, when Orange Cassidy came up and said, I used to have a title, the entire audience went, oh, unprompted. It was amazing. And then he said something, and they did a fist bump, and the audience adores Orange Cassidy. And then, of course, when Renee said, "How are you feeling?" he said, "Renee, I'm still so tired." The audience laughed. They love Orange. This dude has gotten himself over so fucking well. It's amazing.
Yeah, Orange has been one of the most intriguing characters ever, I think, in the history of wrestling. And he's gone from Tony brought him in was super cautious with Orange when he brought him in. He's just like, I don't know if this guy's going to get over. Jim Cornette doesn't like him, and but Tony pushed forward, and he had his match with Pac on the pay-per-view, and it was incredible. And it's just gone from there. And that title reign that we had with Orange, I think, was one of the best title runs in wrestling history. And as a student of great title runs in Japan, I don't have any concern or trepidation or saying that. Like it was a great title run. It elevated that title. It was outstanding. It was entertaining every week, and it was a great story with him bandaging up and becoming more hurt every week. And it's just sad to see it end. But yeah, I mean, Orange is quite a character, and he's definitely gonna keep people and myself interested in watching AEW.
Here's the thing. He was one of the first people they signed. And I remember they made a big deal about the announcement. There was a lot of, we just signed, freshly squeezed. And he was a pretty big deal when they brought him in. He started really slow. He really did. It took a few years. And what I noticed when he turned the corner, and I think it might have been the pay-per-view match, whatever it was, there was a match when he basically said, okay, I'm going to try. And that was it. Suddenly he was trying, and he got better and better from that point. When they gave him the title, yeah, it was great. Everybody agreed. We loved it. Yeah, Orange is fantastic. But the story he told, overcoming the fist was taped up, then the shoulder was taped up, then the neck was taped up, his back was taped up, his leg is taped up. Every body part was hurt. Every match could have been his last. He lost against Moxley, of all people, who wasn't going to lose, so that was telegraphed. But every other match, you were like, how is he going to win? Can he win? Now, he's certainly, in my eyes, their absolute number 2 guy, right behind MJF. Moxley's their ace, but he was a star before AEW. MJF is their number 1 guy, homegrown, and Orange Cassidy is number 2, no question. As far as somebody who didn't exist and is now starting to crack into pop culture, that's what you need. Daniel Garcia is about to do it too. He mentioned people are doing his dance in football. That's moving up to the next level. I'm having a great time with these guys. I just wish they could do better with some of the other divisions. Speaking of, the women's match, the Fatal 4-Way, Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose versus Shida versus the most interesting character in all of women's wrestling, Toni Storm. The insane Toni Storm.
Can you believe Tony only gave him 6 minutes for this match?
I don't know what he's fucking doing
6
right
minutes.
now.
6 minutes.
It's killing me. The fact is, at least the right person won, and that was Toni Storm, because
6 minutes.
That was the right direction to go. Toni Storm has the best new catchphrase: "Chin up, tits out, watch for the shoe." Capture that lightning, run with it, do something with it. Toni is catching fire. Do something with her. It was a short match, to say the least.
Juvenile, mindless, scissor me daddy ass, it's over, let's go with it. Welcome to All Entertainment Wrestling.
Okay, first of all, if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. Juvenile always sells in wrestling because you're looking for the 18-year-olds. We're not their audience, remember? You just had a birthday.
Right.
You got to accept we're not the audience that they're catering to anymore.
Right.
They want a young 18 to 35.
Mindless. Mindless audience that doesn't give a fuck about good wrestling and wants to laugh at juvenile, like, elementary school shit, like pointing at your crotch or saying titties or saying scissor me. All right. I guess it's back to New Japan for me.
Wow. Okay. By the way, Tony Storm won the match. It wasn't really.
Do you remember the finish offhand? Because I don't.
Let's see. The person who wrote this over on WrestlingHeadlines.com, hat tip to you guys. Baker super kicks her in the face. Baker hits a stomp on Sheeta, but Storm rolls up Baker for the win.
Wow, Britt took the fall.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Because, she's the face of your women's.
She doesn't want the title anymore. So
she flat said she doesn't want the title.
Champion. She just wants to.
She just wants to get a paycheck and be there, man. I guess. I don't know.
It's just like the sloppiest.
There's something going on internally. There's something going on. And I don't know, and the women's division is really starting to show some cracks.
What's that song? There's something happening here.
Oh, Jesus. What it is ain't exactly clear. Yeah.
We need to do a karaoke version of this show. Have all the elite marks on, and we can all sing songs, and it would be fun.
So, Lawyer Scott mentioned that OC is also homegrown. Yes, absolutely he is. And then he also said that Garcia was removed from the Collision opening. I didn't notice that. I'll have to watch.
Yeah, the beginning of the show is vary a lot from week to week. So
yeah, well, they definitely re-edited recently.
Yeah, well, they had to pull all the Punk.
Yep.
Right. And since we mentioned him, I hear they are confiscating Punk. Like, security is looking at signs as people walk in. And if the sign says Punk on it, that the security will not let the sign in the building. So much for freedom of speech.
Do you really want my freedom of speech?
No.
Okay. Because it has to do with the First Amendment saying that the government has no right to censor, but doesn't say anything about business.
Yeah, well, private companies can censor whatever they want on private property.
Correct.
Like, as an arena. Maybe Scott could come on and he could lecture all of the Elite Mark Order podcast fans about why freedom of speech doesn't apply when you're in an arena.
He said, "Bingo." That pretty much takes care of that.
Okay.
So what can we say? Sorry, guys. Yeah, they're going to take your CM Punk stuff. That's just the way it is. Deal with it. Go there for a fun time. Don't go to there to be a dick. You know what? You want to be a dick? Go to a WWE show. They like it there.
Right.
So, immediately after the women's match, because of course there's only enough time for women in one segment, they had backstage with Saraya and Ruby Soho. Got almost as much time as their match, where they mentioned that Tony's going to lose everything against Saraya and has already lost her mind. Okay. That's their feud. That's the top of the card, and the Outcasts are done. Matter of fact, Ruby Soho changed her hair color to all black, so now they're just Goth Sisters. Maybe that's the new name, the Goth Sisters.
I think that would work.
It's probably better than the Outcasts.
And they should have a slogan: "Grab us by the pussies." Maybe they'll get over. And, go viral. And
that sounds like a perfect WWE thing. Because Trump is in their Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Now, speaking of Jericho, we'll bring it up for a second. The Sex Gods came out, had their segment where they were friendly talking shit. It's very odd. Apparently, they're going to fight each other. And then once that's done, they're going to go back to being a tag team. I don't know. This is the first time they've ever actually done an intro as the Sex Gods with the title graphic, and I'm sure it was just Jericho's music anyways, but. So that's it. That was the Sex Gods. They came out and said that, yay, they're still friends, sort of. I don't know. It's Jericho. It's worn thin. He needs to go on tour.
He does. Fozzy does need to go on tour. But I will say, if the Sex Gods is going to be a serious tag team and challenge for the tag titles, or if they're going to do some tournaments for people getting a title shot, could you imagine Sex Gods versus the Golden Lovers? I mean, versus Kenny and Ibushi, that would be holy fuck! That would just be incredible. It would be so amazing to see. Or even the Sex Gods versus FTR, or some of the better teams. But it's I don't know. We're just getting bullshit with these guys, and
So first of all, I think you're being way too optimistic when you think that Kenny and Ibushi are going to team together, and they're going to do it on some random Dynamite. I think that's way too optimistic.
I mean, because Tony doesn't have the money to convince Ibushi, who probably isn't exactly... He might be rich, I don't know. Ibushi has always done his own thing. He's definitely not a slave to making money. That's probably not the best way to put it, but Ibushi could have been a top guy. He could have had a reign similar to Okada has had in Japan, where he's... the heavyweight champion of a promotion and defending once a month, headlining shows for 2 years. But Ibushi, he doesn't want that. He wants to do his own thing. He's like, I don't feel like fighting for a few months. I just want to chill out and do whatever it is I do. He's not dedicated to the profession like some of the other guys are. So, but Tony has enough money where if he wanted to convince Ibushi to come over and be a regular tag team on Dynamite, Ibushi would say yes. And that's not happening because, I guess the Golden Lovers don't have a slogan like Scissor Me or Suck It.
Well, the Scissor Me thing just developed naturally, and that was mostly Paul White talking about getting uncomfortable as they were scissoring. It was completely unexpected, and you can't plan that. And they didn't plan it. By the way, Lawyer Scott said that Ruby thinks that Ruby is going to turn face, which I don't know if that means going to help Toni Storm and Saraya is going to be face with her, or if she's going to turn face against Saraya with Toni Storm, but Toni Storm is throwing shoes at people. That's not really a face thing. So I don't know who the heel is and who the face is, but Scott's calling Ruby turning face. All right. Fair enough.
It's going to happen.
She's going to go on her own. She's going to break away, and Saraya and Tony are going to be the outcasts together, maybe.
Ruby Soho Mania as she goes face. I mean, she's going to take the industry by storm.
Actually, she's going to team up with Eddie Kingston, and they're going to form the Kittens. The kitten pack. She's going to go to start wearing little kitten ears and a tail along with Eddie Kittenston. And he's going to be the new champion. No. I'm going to talk about it now. Fuck it. I'll tell you right now. That match next week. This is Eddie's time. It's title for title. ROH is owned by Tony. Tony absolutely loves Eddie. Claudio has been a good ROH champion, but it's time to move that belt off of him. And Eddie is the perfect choice, being a dual champion, getting all the accolades that he deserves. He didn't hit rock bottom, but he sure as hell bounced back, and he's going to be bringing the kitten out next week. Swear to God, he's winning the title.
So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Eddie Kittenston and Ruby Soho dressed up as cats.
Sure.
In a mixed gender match against Kenny Omega and Riho dressed up as cats.
Well,
and the winner of the match,
triple threat.
The winner, okay.
Triple threat. Add Sammy Guevara and Ty Conte, who's not pregnant, and they're wearing panda hats.
I think Ty being pregnant would make it even more interesting.
Okay, leave her pregnant then. Fine, she's pregnant. It's going to be a triple threat match. We'll find. She's got panda, and then Kenny instead of a cat, we could do dog.
Kenny hits pregnant Ty with the one-wing angel.
I can't even envision that. She's so pregnant.
She ends up having a kid in the ring. I mean, that would be a first.
They're going to do that. They're going to have to do that a few months down the road then.
Oh, you know,
so when they hit the one-winged angel,
one-winged angel might cause it premature. I mean,
no, I was going to say it literally shoots out of her like a cannon. I can see it.
I think this
She's
is getting
shooting
a little
into the audience like a rainbow with the baby and the placenta just float. No, that would be horrible.
What was that old rainbow meme? Anyhow,
I don't know. Double rainbow across the sky.
No, it was the. It was a little X-rated, but anyhow, that got a little dark. But let's go back to just the 2-on-2, and the winner of Eddie Kittenston and Ruby Soho against Kenny and Riho, all in cat's outfit, gets to keep the kitten.
Kitten on a pole match.
Kitten on a pole match, or you could have Nick Wayne on a pole dressed up as a cat too.
Perfect.
Maybe he could be on a different pole in a different corner, so they could choose Nick Wayne or they could choose the kitten.
Oh, and it's a reverse battle royal.
There you go.
They have to fight each other to get into the ring so they can throw each other out of the ring.
There you go. This is good stuff right here.
This is good shit, pal.
It's good shit.
So yeah, there was more stuff with MJF and Renee and Adam and all that fun stuff from last week. Where hey, I get a week off. Brian Cage versus Adam Page was actually a pretty good match. Adam Page won. Or Adam Page.
Yeah, Adam Page.
I actually got his name right.
Not
he
Adam
won.
Cole.
He did not Adam Cole. He did win. It was strangely by the Deadeye. So they there was a hard hitting match. It was actually pretty good because
of course it was. Yeah.
I thought Cage actually looked good in this match.
Of course he did. Was there any question? Like Cage is fucking badass, man. Like
I thought the 6-1
was going to be a good match.
I thought the area code shot, the 619, was pretty interesting by Hangman. When he hit it, he kind of looked at the crowd and yells, "I never hit that." I don't know what the hell that was all about, but he decided to hit it. So it was a really interesting sort of match. Of course, Swerve had to come out, and anytime you get Prince Nana dancing to Swerve, his music, it's an automatic win. Yeah. So, he comes out, he distracts Hangman, because if you play entrance music, you get distracted. That's what happens in wrestling. And he still managed the win, and yet then he turned his attention to Swerve, and suddenly his opponent who was out attacks him. Pretty amazing how he got up out of that and attacked him. But who came down for the save? The guys who were never on television, the Bucks. They actually got to hit a super kick on someone. It was fun. And then they danced with Prince Nana. Right? It was fun.
Yeah.
They were on TV. You were complaining they were never on TV, and here they are on TV.
They're there.
Supporting their friend Hangman, who's going to need some backup against Swerve.
The Elite, front and center.
I don't know about them necessarily wrestling the Gates of Agony as a good match, because the Gates of Agony are not necessarily the highest quality of wrestlers. They're good ROH stock. They're good hands. They're big guys. It'll be fun, I'm sure, but much like Booker T, the Bucks do really well against fast-moving tag teams.
Maybe it's back to ROH for the Bucks.
Maybe. They could go down there and be the tag champs for about the next 3.5, 4 years.
There you go.
Because nobody's going to get upset at them being tag champs in ROH. However, MJF and Adam Cole are the current tag champs. I think they should probably hold on to it.
I'd love to see MJF and Adam Cole against the Bucks. That would be fucking fire.
It really would.
We'll probably get MJF and Cole against Parker and Menard before we get them versus the Bucks. So,
speaking of Parker and Menard, they were the next match against Allen and Wayne. It's hardly a surprise that Darby Allin and Nick Wayne won. They did have a little combo move at the end where Wayne did a moonsault to the outside, Darby did the coffin drop, and they got the win. But Menard and Parker are such fucking losers. There was zero chance anything interesting was going to happen in this match. And it didn't.
And they didn't need to be. Parker and Menard did not need to be booked as losers, but they were. They were losing handicap matches. They were losing matches in 30 seconds, and now, we're supposed to think they're a believable threat again. So it's just, I complained about their booking at the time. I'm like, these guys aren't bad. Parker and Menard aren't awful. They have charisma. They're decent heels. Menard can announce. He's decent as a commentator in the matches. He's kind of funny. But when you bury the fucking guy and make him lose multiple weeks in less than a minute, it's just hard to come back from that. So,
well, you can, but they don't have the connection established to be able to take losses consistently and it not hurt them. There are people who can take losses and it won't hurt them.
Not like that, though.
No,
not the. I can't think of any examples of guys losing in 30 seconds regularly and coming back from it. It's just. It's really tough to come back from that.
It is tough. I'm just saying it's possible. It's tough. Easier if you have a good connection. That's my entire point is that if you have that connection, you can. They haven't connected. Menard talked like crazy on Elevation. He has the ability to cut a promo, moderately interesting, but they don't really have characters yet. So, when 2.0 and Daniel Garcia showed up in AEW, I did not expect Daniel Garcia to be the one to get over. I knew he was good, but I didn't expect him to get over to where NFL players are doing his dance.
Yeah, I gotta find some video of these NFL players doing his dance. I was surprised to hear that. I don't doubt it, but it was just kind of surprising.
I'll have to do a search for it later, but it definitely seems like if that's happening, that's a good sign.
No.
So after their match, Christian again came out talking about Nick Wayne's mom and says, hey, that match last week didn't count. I didn't have my normal tag team partner, Luchasaurus. So they make a match for Wayne and Darby against Luchasaurus and Christian. Okay. That feud is kind of starting to drag a little bit. Anything to say about them? I know you like Nick.
I don't know. I'm glad to see Nick getting TV time, but
and a lot
this
of
match was kind of a throwaway. And then, this was really kind of supposed to build up the match at Grand Slam next week, but Nick's not in that match. You got Cage and Luchasaurus against Darby and Sting. They could have made it a 6-man. They could have made it trios and added Nick to it. But again, Nick will just be outside the ring. But yeah, it's still good exposure for Nick. He's biding his time. I think he's doing well on TV so far. So I'm glad to see him getting some involvement here.
It is nice to see Nick. We knew that Tony loved him to begin with, and that meant the moment he was available, he was going to start working with him, and he has.
And he's apparently higher than Kenny Omega on the Dynamite chart. So yeah, I guess Tony does like him.
I'm not sure about being higher on any chart. I've never seen this chart you're talking about.
Oh, Kenny's not on TV anymore. So he's not live. All his segments are taped. Tony just...
Well, but he's a busy guy. He's doing game stuff. He's doing
playing
video
Street
games.
Fighter 6. Yeah, which has nothing to do with
important work,
just
man.
Nothing to do with his fucking job.
No, it really doesn't. But
no.
The fact is, he is the head of video games in AEW, and he's playing video games. Therefore, he, by the transitive property of video games, he's busy.
Kenny's below Nick on the depth chart for Dynamite right now. So, I mean, that's a fact. It's a fact.
Kenny's below on the depth.
He is. Nick Wayne's already surpassed Omega in AEW.
In what? Wins?
No, in the Dynamite depth chart. You got John Moxley's number 1. He's got to be on every week, and then Chris Jericho's number 2. He's got to be, and then Orange is getting a little break, but Orange would have been up there. But you go through the whole depth chart. Who has to be on every week? And Nick Wayne is above Kenny. He's above the Bucks, and he's above Hangman. But it's where he is right now. So
okay,
yeah.
I can't argue it. The fact is, Nick Wayne's getting a lot of screen time. He is.
I think it's great. I like Nick. I'm glad to see that he's getting it.
What's next?
What's that?
Jack Cartwheel.
Jack
is next.
Jack's
getting the call up next.
Jack's been quiet, man. I don't know what he's been up to ever since he turned down the opportunity to be on our podcast. I haven't seen much from him.
It's the curse. The same thing happened to that one guy that Danhausen had hooked up for us.
Yeah,
he disappeared.
Right.
He disappeared, man. The guy's not getting booked. He's not getting any shows. If we offer you the chance to come on the podcast, don't turn us down. You will get cursed.
You're going to end up like Jack Cartwheel. You're only going to be able to find work in Mexico.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. See, that Danhausen curse, that I curse you. See, that is for the people who cancel on us. When they have a podcast interview set up and they cancel on us, they get cursed.
Yep.
If they don't do it either.
All Jack has done since turning down the opportunity to be on our podcast is get thrown out of battle royals by women. So, hey, if that's where you want your career to go, then turn us down.
Jack, we invite you again. Jay, maybe you could reach out to him.
I'll send him another tweet.
Yeah. Wait. It's not Twitter and tweets anymore. Now it's X.
I'll send him an X.
An excrement.
Excrement. There you go.
Yeah, and again, if he ignores you, that's not our fault.
I mean,
what happens to his career?
Yeah,
we want to help him.
He's only going to be able to find work in China if he doesn't.
Man, don't make fun of those Chinese wrestlers. They're getting hired in NXT and never ever making it on television. Like, I think Mia Yim is the only one.
Do you remember that partnership that AEW had with that China promotion?
And all got let go.
Chris Daniels wrestled some matches over there, and that never really resulted in anything. Well, the pandemic probably killed the plans, and then the contract, Tony just didn't want to renew it. But yeah.
WWE had something also going on in China for a while. Signed a bunch of Chinese wrestlers, then they all just got let go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened? Did they just not know anybody who could speak Chinese to translate for them? Or they just didn't learn English? I don't know. But, bringing in the Joshis, bringing in some of these Japanese talent, I don't know if Tony really knows how to book them, as big a fan as he is of wrestling. Because some of them really just have not been used to their best abilities. I wonder sometimes.
I think you just got to sign the match with them. I mean, you look at the the trios matches that they had early on with Riho and Magic Girl, and with Aja Kong. Like, those matches were super over, and the crowd loved it. And Riho still gets a good pop. And Riho's ratings, when Riho fights, the ratings don't go down. I'm not going to say she pops the ratings, but the ratings on the shows did not go down when Riho was fighting.
It's
and
true.
Even when she was in the main event spot in trios matches or three-way matches or whatever, against Nyla, it didn't suffer. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's pressure from Cornette saying that any Japanese female wrestlers are because they're dating Kenny Omega, or any of that that basically racist, sexist commentary that they're saying over there on that podcast. It just almost seems to me like Tony took it to heart and said, "Yeah, I'm not going to book them anymore because I don't want to give Cornette an excuse to rip on my product. So we'll just use Saraya instead." I don't know. It's just unfortunate. So
that would be the absolute worst way to book a show. To take any person's opinion, let alone Jim Cornette and his cornball followers, the corn nuts. let alone anybody on the fucking internet, including us, take our opinions. He needs to be able to have, as much as I hate fucking Vince McMahon and his style and his sexual assaults and his everything, he had a very strong hand on the till. He knew what he wanted. He knew where he wanted his company to go, and he was going to make that happen. And you cannot deny the force of that personality. Everybody who's ever worked with Vince has talked about the Jedi mind trick, where you go in determined to quit or not to resign, and you come out having resigned. Because something about Vince is just so forceful. And that is to his credit, and how he built a multi-billion-dollar company off of his personality. Tony Khan is not that guy. And that is tough in a world where all of your people have huge egos and huge will and drive and determination. And these are some of the toughest motherfuckers you ever met. And you have to stand up to them somehow. And I know that that's really common, that people talk about Tony being weak, not being able to stand up to people. And I think there's a core that's legitimate. I want him to have a stronger hand. I want him to have that vision of what he used to have. Because there was a time when he could do no wrong, when everything he booked was fire and all of the segments hit. I want that back. I don't know if it's coming. You know, there's still a match for us to talk about.
There is. We got the main event.
It's a good one, too. Samoa Joe versus Roderick Strong, the finals. Because whoever wins gets to face Max. I guess a Grand Slam. Next week. And it turns out Samoa Joe won. But it was a good match. Once again, Roddy told a good story about his neck before and after. As a matter of fact, when the match ended, there were still 5 minutes. And I was like, wow, 5 minutes. What the hell are they going to do? Turns out, the moment that Roderick Strong saw Adam Cole coming down the ramp, he hit the ground and started clutching his neck. It was amazing. Suddenly he was hurt again, and he started screaming out for him. It was the confrontation with the Kingdom. You're the problem, Adam. You're the problem. And then as they put him on the board, Roddy's got his eyes closed, and he's screaming, Adam, where are you? I can't see you, Adam. He's got his eyes closed. I can't see you, Adam. His eyes are closed. It's goofy wrestling. There's no question about it. But at the same time, this is great stuff. I like it. It's telling a great story. I definitely want to see Grand Slam. Mostly for the main event. Samoa Joe versus MJF. MJF is guaranteed he's going to choke him out. Last time he guaranteed, it was a headlock takeover against Darby. And he did it. Is face MJF now calling his shots like Babe Ruth? Do you think Samoa Joe stands a chance?
I don't.
No.
think Samoa Joe has any chance of winning. Samoa Joe is not going to be the AEW World Champion. MJF has a tough task against him, though, and everything seems to be in Joe's favor right now, with MJF having the neck injury, basically from the brain buster that Adam Cole gave him on the steps at All In. So MJF is dealing with that issue. Joe is going to try to choke MJF out. It's going to be interesting what happens here. It's hard to believe that MJF is going to go over Joe clean. So you just got to think there might be shenanigans with Cole and the Kingdom. Roddy Strong potentially getting involved in this match. I mean, there's 6 matches lined up for the show. None of them include any of the people I just mentioned. So yeah, the main event could end up turning into a shit show. I hope it doesn't, because MJF and Joe are capable of having a great match standalone, but we'll see what Tony decides to do here.
I can only imagine a little bit of schmooze, a little bit of schmaz, but there's no way MJF loses. And therefore, the interference can't amount to anything. There's no way they do a DQ. That would be just unsatisfying. So Samoa Joe has to lose against Roderick Strong's interference to help MJF. Maybe that's the direction they go. Roddy starts to court MJF. Who knows?
Roddy does need to get revenge against Samoa Joe because, Joe was the one who hurt Roddy initially by giving him the Emerald Frozen on the chair. So there's that.
And that's kind of what I'm saying, is that there's plenty of storyline to play out, and maybe Roddy goes after Samoa Joe and the TV title later. Because the Kingdom are definitely ROH talent, and Joe is a TV champion. So maybe that feud continues over on ROH TV. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it'll be on Dynamite and Collision and all that, because they have so much TV time. I don't even keep up with the ROH stuff because I really don't care about it, even though some of those matches look like fire, and I do care about Claudio and Eddie. And fortunately, that's going to be on Dynamite. The best matches for ROH are on Dynamite anyways. So,
Right.
I think it all started with buying ROH and muddying the waters that way. Even though some of those title belts have helped elevate talent, I think that Tony is stretched so thin. Yes, he's got booking help. Danielson, we know for a fact QT, and we know for a fact Sanjay Dutt are on the booking committee. We know that some wrestlers, like MJF, basically come up with the entire plot lines themselves. I assume OC was the same. Orange Cassidy, that entire thing had to have been booked by him because he's also producing other people's matches. So why wouldn't he be directly involved in creating the story for his best title run? That only makes sense to me,
Right.
So the more involved a wrestler is, the more you see how good they are. The best ones are involved with the wrestler. The worst ones are just sort of handed stuff. Here you go. So, at that point, it just becomes how well can you schmooze up to the committee and get your ideas through. And then it becomes politics. And that's the worst. So I don't know how you solve it, though. How do you run a company with all those egos, all those clashes, and still keep everybody happy, the fans happy, and still producing good quality stuff?
Ultimately, Tony's got to put his fucking foot down and stop letting the inmates run the asylum. You can't fucking roll over and have a guy like CM Punk have his own show with only allowing people that he wants because it splits the roster and it shows Tony playing favorites. You can't do that. You can't fucking employ a guy like Miro who refuses to do a job in a battle royal. Yeah, and then not be on TV 6 months, and then reward him with his own program for not fucking doing his job. Like, you can't. He's got to stop letting the inmates run the asylum. If you don't want to do the job, go back to Vince and Stone Cold. Stone Cold did not want to lose to Brock Lesnar, so Vince said, "All right, you're fucking done." He's biggest star, his biggest draw. Vince just said it's my way or the highway. And it's like, that's how Tony has to run his company too. You can't let the inmates run the asylum, especially in an organization like pro wrestling, where everybody thinks that they should be the man. Like, you gotta put your foot down. You gotta make the tough decisions. And you gotta act like a fucking promoter, an old school promoter, and say, if you don't like it, you're out of the territory and we're just gonna move on without you.
Or in AEW's case, you put them on silence. You ghost them. Because that does seem to be the way they run. If they stop talking to you, you're done. That's it. If you're not getting answers from Chris Daniels, if you're not Tony Khan's not responding to your texts, you're out. Because that's apparently what happened with Ace. That's apparently what happened with Punk. Apparently what happened with Joey Janela. Apparently what happened with Sonny Kiss. Just no notification. Okay, sorry. No renewal.
Right.
So, all right. I think I'm going to go ahead and say that this is the end of the podcast, but I appreciate everybody who's listening. If you're still listening, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. We absolutely love and adore you. Join us on EliteMarkOrder.com. Don't forget to join us in the Discord. Click on Join the Discord. You can click on the link down below. And any final thoughts before we end this JV birthday boy?
Oh, looking forward to Grand Slam. We got MJF Joe, Saraya versus Tony Storm, Jericho versus Sammy, Claudio versus Kingston, title for title, which is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the match I'm most looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Mox versus Phoenix, and then Sting with a rare TV appearance, teaming with Darby against Cage and Luchasaurus. Wednesday show is can't miss. It could be a lot better, but it's still pretty good. So
I would call it stacked. I would call it stacked.
Yeah.
I would say they put a lot of effort into next week. It's one of their big named Dynamite shows. This week was sort of a setup week for me, and I'm okay with that. Anyways, thank you so much for everybody listening. JV, I know next week we're going to be back talking about Grand Slam because it is an amazing sounding show. Thank you everybody for listening. Of course, there's only one way that we can end this, and that is by singing Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jay. Happy birthday to you. JV for life.
Thanks, Scott.